that if a man's discharge comes before the woman's discharge, then the child will look like the man. But I think it's known that had no effect on the genetics of the child.
So you're saying it's a scientific claim that if the man discharges before the woman, that the child that is conceived will look like the man, and you're saying it's been proven scientifically this is not the case. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So Dream, I was just going to say maybe it would be nice if we had like a one-to-one discussion as well with the EF Dawah. If you drop them an email. Yeah. And maybe Brother Hamza or Dr. Imran.
Yeah, I'd be glad.
We'll invite you onto the Perfect Storm, Dream. No problem.
I'm not sure what that is, but...
Oh, you'll enjoy it. It's an experience. Just message us on EF Dawah and we'll hook you up, mate.
And feel free to message me, Dream. I'll be very happy and more than willing to chat.
Is that your Twitter handle on the thing, or?
Exactly, yeah. Twitter or Facebook, yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool, Dream.
I'll look out for your message.
As for this, is there an explanation, or?
Yeah, right. So we're just establishing what your concern is. So you're saying you believe that this hadith is saying that if a man discharged before the woman, the child's going to look like him, and you're saying that's been proven scientifically not to be the case. Fair enough. All right, let's go with it.
So the main this is, first of all, I'm going to say this is quite profound, really. Okay. Second thing is I'm not an Arab, so I don't know Arabic, but I'm going to explain to you the understanding and the issue here. So the issue here, you have to understand that, again, I reiterate that thing, that the understanding that the woman had any contribution to the outcome of the way a child would look and be was not common knowledge or even understood at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In fact, the women were understood to be merely vessels that received the sperm, which contained a preformed embryo which would grow. So they were essentially the soil in which it grows. Okay, so that's the context in which I want you to understand this statement. Now, let me just share my screen, and I'm going to have one issue here because I remember researching this, and there's a word here that's translated probably not accurately, and that's where this is where the misunderstanding comes from. Okay, so let me share the screen. Just give me 1 second. So if the brothers who are a bit more fluid with Arabic, maybe Brother Sadat or Nazim or anyone else, can let me know the words that I'm particularly referring to. So you can see this now on the screen, Charlotte?
Yeah.
So remember the explanation I gave you of the understanding of the way that people understand how a child is influenced in terms of their outlook. The way that this was understood was that the woman was merely the receptacle and did not have any input on the way the child would look or be. Yeah. Now, if you look at this statement is fascinating. As for the child, so this is talking about a number of things, but we're going to focus on this bit.
Yeah.
As for the child, if the man's discharge proceeds, and this is the problem here, the translation of the word proceeds. If the man's discharge precedes the woman's discharge, the child attracts the similarity to the man. And if the woman's discharge precedes the man's, then the child attracts the similarity to the woman. So let's leave the claim of inaccuracy first. First, let's understand in a bigger scope. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, 1400 years ago, is saying that the man and the woman both can contribute to the way a child looks, depending on something. Okay, so first of all, that is a statement that is far beyond the understanding of the people of the time anyway. Okay, so let's look at what the thing is. Now, the problem here with this is this understanding of precedes. The discharge precedes, or the discharge precedes. Now, this is, now I remember, like I said, I'm not Arab and I can't remember the word exactly, but
Sabaqa is the word there.
Sabaqa, there we go.
So which can mean proceed, but it can mean a whole bunch of other things
absolutely,
as well.
Yeah. This is the word here, sabaqa. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and translate this directly. Let's do this to Arabic to English. Let's put it in there and see what it says. And before, outrun, outstrip. So it's giving you what this could be. Proceed, forego, pace, outrun, outstrip, outdistance, preempt, precession, or antecedent. So it's talking about being in some way better, outstripping, being the forerunner, outdistancing. So the understanding of this is that one overpowers the other in some sense. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's read it with that broader understanding. So first of all, we know that the statement that the woman contributes to the way a child would look is was not known at the time. We know that this is scientifically accurate now because we know that the women contribute X chromosomes, and depending if you have a child or a man, the man can contribute either a Y or an X chromosome. Now, what happens to this statement then? As for the child, and I'll translate it with this overcoming sense. As for the child, if the man's discharge overpowers the woman's discharge, the child attracts the similarity to the man. And if the woman's discharge overpowers the man's, then the child attracts the similarity to the woman. So what we have a profound statement of the fact that now, how would we term it in modern parlance? We would say the genetics of whoever has the dominant gene. So we know that we get genes from our parents. So if you're a girl, you'll get an X from the mum and an X from dad, depending on whose genes are dominant. So we have recessive genes, we have dominant genes.
Yeah.
Depending on whose genes are dominant, i.e. the one overpowers the other, that is the trait that will come forward for that particular selected quality. Yeah. So now, not only is this not wrong, it's actually very profoundly accurate. So a statement that goes against the understanding of how women, whether or not women can contribute to anything from the child in the first place, is profound. People didn't believe that, but the Prophet peace be upon him is stating it. Secondly, we're being told that both can contribute. Absolutely, it's talking about. I would say it's talking about genes. Now, this is completely correct, not scientifically, but way beyond its time. Completely way beyond its time. So what people do is that they're going to just hold on to this word proceeds, and then they're going to disallow the other available translations for this. Now the question again comes. We've asked this question so many times. Where does a man who is illiterate, living in the desert, who was a goat herder, peace be upon him, who had no access to scientific knowledge, no access to, because even the scientific knowledge available at the time would not have told this information to the Prophet peace be upon him. And he spent his life as a shepherd who suddenly at the age of 40, as brother Sadat has mentioned, starts bringing some information which the Arabs have never understood. And this is not even Qur'an, this is hadith, this is a statement of the Prophet peace be upon him. Now you have to you have to read the rest of this hadith. So the question here is, what happened to the person who is being told? I'm just gonna go right to the end.
They converted, right?
They converted after hearing all this information. Then Abdullah came out to them and said, "I testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah."
Well, what you said is very profound.
Yeah. So now I'm asking you
the question. I have a follow-up question. How would the person asking know that he said the truth?
It's not just that, he said so many things though.
Absolutely. So there are many. He was asking about the hour, the hour, and the many things about the hour, but mentioned this thing as well. Now the question for you is this: hadith are snapshots. So imagine there's a movie, and when we take a hadith, we take something which is basically a time-specific question, and we're just getting a snapshot. You're not getting the whole scenario for this. Now, what convinced the individual? There were probably multiple things, because we know the story of this rabbi Ibn Salam. We know about him and the information that he asked, etc. But this is convincing for that individual. Now, he found that convincing. The question is not about him now. The question is about you as an individual. This was brought forward as something that possibly might have made you doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question for you now is, clearly this isn't something that would make you doubt. In fact, it would be the opposite.
It's the opposite, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah?
So now, what would you do with this? What does that make you do? Does that make you change your mind, or what is that?
Yeah, definitely change my mind on this. Yeah, of course.
So how would the Prophet peace be upon him known about the contributions that a man or a woman, that the fact that a woman makes contributions and that she can have an effect on the way that the child looks because of something that she produces or gives forward to in that process of producing a child?
Well, I don't know. I mean, one explanation is that it's from God. That could be an explanation.
It is from God, yeah. I agree with you 100%.
It's true. You know,
On a
that verse
side
in the-
note, this sorry, brother Hamza, this has
Yeah.
implications for women's rights as well too. There's many parts of the world even today where men will divorce their wives because they only had daughters, with that wife. It's just really interesting that people don't understand this even today.
Subhanallah. And someone put this in the comment section. It's really profound because you know that verse in the Quran I gave you about the skin burning, and when they think it can burn no more, you'll be given a new skin to burn again.
Yeah.
The reason why this is profound, it's only just been found out that the pain receptors are in the skin. This is in the time of the Prophet, they wouldn't have known this. So the fact that once the pain is, the skin is charred, the pain receptors are dulled, but then the skin is replaced.
But
Now this is
one of the ways you know that one of the ways that I would know if somebody came into A&E that they had very severe burns is they wouldn't be in pain. The pain would be very, very tiny compared to their the degree of their burns.
Allah goes further because he says so that they may taste the punishment. So Allah links it to the fact that this is what's deserved and this is what will be done and this is why it will be done. And it all ties into what we now know scientifically.
So the question you need to ask yourself, when did it become known that the pain receptors are in the skin? Dream.
Oh, I don't know.
Wouldn't it be profound if it wasn't known until recently? And that,
in fact, that one specifically, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone got burned badly but then realized they didn't feel anything anymore.
Yeah, but
okay.
Sure. No, I mean, I'm not saying it's
No, this is fine. Because what you're doing now is that what happens when you multiply probabilities together?
Well, they compound.
Do they become larger or smaller in probability?
Much bigger.
No. If you have something being 50-50 probability and something else being 50-50 probability,
then it gets smaller, yeah.
And you multiply them together, then what happens to that probability? It becomes a quarter.
1/4, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so if you take, for example, somebody guessing rightly that, the Pharaoh was wrongly named in the Bible as Pharaoh in the time of Joseph, even though there was no other text to say this, I'm going to call him king.